Dear viewers, this ends our first part of live telecast of the Jumu'ah prayer and the two khutbah sermons, as well as the translation and interpretation. It is time now to go to the studio with my colleague Dr. Ahmad Dhafir with our weekly program, a guest from Al-Madina. Please stay tuned. We will be back.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق أجمعين سيدنا وحبيبنا وإمامنا محمد بن عبد الله عليه أفضل الصلاة والتسليم. Dear brothers and sisters, I congratulate you again for those who for the first time to tune with us with Ramadan al-Kareem, and we have also a Dayf Kareem. We have a dear guest, Brother Abdul Haqq Baker from the United Kingdom. And he is truly a guest of Madina today. And not only the show, but he's going to leave us, inshallah, after iftar tonight to go to Jeddah. So, Brother Abdul Haqq, I want you to take it from here and tell our audience, who are you?
Abdul Haqq Baker. I'm a convert to Islam. I converted in 1990 after practicing Christianity. I'm now chairman of a mosque in South London and director of a youth initiative which is helping those who want to hear about Islam and those who are converts to the religion.
Give us more about when you say, like, you're chairman of a mosque in London, but you're here.
Yes. Basically,
how can that?
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. I came here 5 years ago with my family because I wanted to live in a more conducive environment of Islam. But my colleagues there requested that I stay on as chairman because of the strategic direction that I put in place when I became chairman in 1994, for example. I travel back very regularly. In the last year, I've traveled back almost every month, basically. And what we've done is we've put in some programs and strategic programs of development to help the youth there contextualize Islam, how to live as Muslims within whatever society that they're living in, how to make their identity of Islam synonymous with their British identity and culture. So I travel back regularly. When I'm there, I do some of the sermons. I'm involved in the youth initiative and activities, and we participate in quite a lot of events nationally, locally, interacting with government agencies, youth offending schemes to help these individuals, as I've said, learn how to assimilate and adopt their new religion within the society that they're actually living in at the moment.
When you say contextualize, this could have many, many meanings. Some people might take it as grouping, some people may take it as isolation, some people may take it as moving them from one society to the other. What do you really mean by that?
Very good question. None of those. I think a problem at the moment is that when individuals come to Islam, what you'll find is that they switch their brains off. That whatever talent or quality that they come to the religion with, they suddenly think, well, I have to basically dehumanize, desensitize myself and start learning again. No. Islam has come to perfect a good character, to perfect those good qualities. So what we actually say is, no, in contextualizing, what you're going to do is you're going to bring the religion into your life. Bring the religion into your life and enact it within the society from which you have grown and known and loved, actually. Yes, there are aspects of religion of the society, that you will realize that are no longer conducive with Islam, but this does not mean that you then become isolated, as you said. It doesn't mean you become a ghetto within the society that you're living in. It doesn't mean that you join and become part of a sect or a cult or a group. No, you are still a citizen of that society. You have just now got a spiritual dimension that can enable you to act and become an example, an ambassador for that new religion that you've adopted.
So you're saying that, can I be a British Muslim or a Muslim British? Is that what you're trying to say? I
can, yes, exactly. You do not have to cast off the identity of the nation that you're actually from. I'm very proud to be British and Muslim, or Muslim and British. The spiritual and ideological underpinning of my life is Islam, and that permeates every aspect of my living. However, my identity is British. I cannot suddenly remove my British identity because then I will be in an abyss as such. This is something that's been part and parcel of me for the entire time I've grown up as a young man into adulthood. So we, in the projects that we're doing, are trying to show the youth this, because there is that schism that comes about, and that enthusiasm ends up being misplaced. As I said, the brain switches off with our sisters as well, the talents and qualities they have. Yes, now they have to see, how can I take these forward within the parameters of Islam, which are very wide.
Well, given the situation that the Western world, especially the United Kingdom and the United States, with the unfortunate events that take place there by, unfortunately, some of, quote, end of quote, people who claim themselves part of the religion, which we personally don't believe that their acts are. How does that play in your situation? What's your strategy to really de-terrorize the UK
Yes.
from Islam and Muslims?
What we found since the early 90s is when we saw this call and this propaganda that was extremist in its ideology and its practice, we took the bull by the horns, as it were, and we basically challenged that. We would bring the youth to us who were being exposed to this sort of extremism, and we would bring the arguments of the extremists, sit with them, say these are their arguments, this is the context that it should be in, and here are the evidences and proofs of that. What we found is it became very effective in that the extremists saw that every time they pushed their call, we countered it. We countered it, and we showed them how to actualize that text that they're using within the context and confines of society that they're actually living in. It's been so successful now that this youth initiative, I was actually requested to do this youth initiative because authorities, other Muslim institutions saw that us as British convert Muslims who come from a somewhat street culture knew how to reach out to these individuals being affected by this extremist ideology. Now, we were saying, you can be angry, you can be upset. We are upset, we are angry. What does the religion say, and how should we implement and react to these atrocities, if you want, these ills that we are seeing in the Muslim land? And we then bring the text, we bring the statement of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we bring the statement of scholars from everywhere to say, right, this is how we act. It's not about suicide bombings and killing innocent civilians. And then we say, look, you've got many other walks of life who are also articulating their anger alongside yourself, but they're not going into extremist acts. And the religion does not permit this, and there is nowhere within religion that says this can be done. And we find that this is a very effective call against the extremists.
Absolutely. And what really intrigues me is that sometimes, we were speaking to this earlier before the show, that sometimes people live within a certain culture, yet they send a message to destroy that culture or to destroy that land. It makes the people around them uneasy, and they're just a minority.
Yes.
So how do you deal with something like that? People who come to you, for example, you were telling me about the soccer thing. So how do you deal with people who come to you very angry about a certain politician or a certain political act that we don't have control over, and then they come to you?
Yes.
What do you tell them?
Well, what we basically tell them is we will sit there and empathize with that anger that they have. And they will see immediately, we have once shared that anger, we currently share that anger at the moment. But now, what is the solution to this? So we then look at the Islamic dictates, we look at other Muslim societies, because the other Muslim societies are ahead of us. They've encountered these problems before. What we do as well, for example, some of the youth with their anger and their energy, we engage them in some conventional youth activities. For example, we've got two sporting activities. We've got football taking place, and we've got boxing, but boxing in the halal sense, not hitting the face and everything like that.
Not really punching their lights out.
No, that's right, exactly. To expend their energy. And what we do, it's an amazing sight to see, because it's in the open air. We've seen that we're having every week 140 attendees for football. Now, there's only one football pitch. And what we do at the beginning is there's an ideological and spiritual goal that we set for them before we start the soccer, before we start the sport. And then we will break at halftime, and you'll see, and many of the non-Muslims pass by and have remarked on this, you'll see 100 individuals on the Saturday, for example, bowing in ruku, praying.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
And it is an arresting sight. And they feel proud of their identity in that sense, because they can see we are here, oneness, brotherliness, good citizenship. When they leave, we then say, take what you've learnt of the fun and enjoyment and the interactivity you've had. Take that out to the non-Muslim members of the society. We all have non-Muslim members of society, parents, brothers and siblings, for example, even children. They need to see that the religion is synonymous with our way of life. And that's the attraction to the non-Muslim community. So we expend it in that way and let them go out that particular week. They come back to us, we feel better, we did try to interact in this way, we had this obstacle, or we succeeded in this particular way.
But let's say, pretend that I'm coming to your camp or to the youth center, and I'm coming in with all this anger, and I come to you, and you take me, if I understood you correctly, you try to make me physically take out the anger, but in a very civilized way.
Yes.
But what do you give me back in return? Because if the ideology says that hate, which is not a word in Islam, but the ideology that I come back from, or my background that I'm coming to you angry, is that hate. How can you take that hate with love for me to become a good citizen, whether in the UK or any other country?
I think what we need to do, when we're taking on a religion, in our zeal, we end up wanting to take the country that the religion has come from, and we want to bring all of the dictates of that country into that society. So if I may, we cannot come from Saudi Arabia and take all of the Saudi Arabian customs and everything into the religion, into the society we live in. We become
just
alien.
move it from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to the UK.
Exactly, just like we would not accept British expats bringing aspects of British culture into Saudi Arabian culture. No, you bring the religion, and you are the one who's going to be the light of that religion, who's going to show that religion. So we say to them, okay, you've brought all of this anger. Where do you want to go with this anger? And if they say, we want to do this to the non-Muslims, we want to do X, Y, Z, what will you achieve from doing that? And the example that we've given, and it's a very beautiful story that we see, the people who are truly upon the way of Islam, when they are giving the call or being an example of the religion, they do not cause any harm to the Muslim community.
Absolutely.
And the story of Ibrahim is such, in that when he gave the call, they tried to put him into the fire. When he went into the fire, Allah made it cool for him. When you become angry, emotional, and act like the extremists do, it harms everyone, as we can see what's happening with the Muslims today. These examples are very powerful to new Muslims to see that I cannot cause detriment to my society and to my Muslim community.
Well, that's very interesting, because when you say don't bring the country into another country, it truly, from history, from Islam, we saw that Islam spread all over the world. That Islam does not have one face, if I may say so. You and I are Muslims, but we look different, we come from different backgrounds. How can you really bring the UK to harmony with Islam within those brothers?
I think what the brothers need to realize is that when they go back, they're not there to change the society overnight. What they must do is that through their example, through their ability to assimilate and interact and be examples in that respect. And what we see, you may ask me, how do you exemplify that? Many of us come from professional backgrounds. Now, if you're working professionally, you don't need to bring the call of Islam confrontationally.
Yeah, in each and every aspect.
No, through your work, through your mannerisms, through your interaction, just like we saw of old. You mentioned historically, if we look at how Islam spread, one of the most powerful mechanisms was through our predecessors going and as tradesmen, as doctors, into societies, living and assimilating in a non-Muslim majority society.
Absolutely.
And those majority societies then looked at these individuals and thought their morals and manners and spirituality is fantastic. That was the opportunity then to give the call, to give the dawah, and to exemplify what Islam was. And we saw societies change. We saw this in our community. An individual who we were talking to in prison came out of prison, and an entire estate became Muslim. In 2 months we saw 300 Muslims, people come to our mosque and take Shahada. It's by example, as what you've got to be able to know when to speak, when to act. And unfortunately, some of our brothers are not doing that. And it's just a learning process. They need to look to the elders, because the elders have a place in Islam, and we need to take from our elders and follow in their examples.
Well, this takes me back. When you guys are playing football, as you guys call it. The Americans call it soccer.
Yes.
When you guys are playing and then praying, do you get any interaction from the people passing, especially the youth, like, what are you guys doing?
Yes. What we find is that you'll see individuals start coming weekly on the outskirts and the perimeters, and they're watching. Then they will come and sit and look. Then what we do, we don't go straight and become confrontational. They will start asking, what are you doing? Can we join in? Yes, welcome, you can join. We don't say anything to them about prayer. Where do you guys meet? What do you do? Well, we go to this particular mosque. Come and have a look. Then slowly but surely they see, well, there's the physical activity and enjoyment, and there's a spiritual aspect where they're actually learning. This is how we see many of them actually coming into Islam through this way. And it's a huge, schoolgirls, we see girls coming from Catholic schools, and you'll see them coming in their school uniform, going into the ladies section and coming out with hijabs on.
MashaAllah,
and now so our sisters are very active in that way as well. And this is a very powerful message.
You were telling me also earlier about something of taking them out of their culture to see other people on different levels. I would like you to elaborate more on that.
Yes, what we think is very important for converts in the religion is that they can travel outside of their own societies. Why? Because this anger that's within, once they've travelled, they will then come to appreciate the society they're in. So for example, there's a project one of my colleagues is doing in Niger, which is a poorer Muslim society. So we take some of them there. We're intending to take some next year for them to see the poverty there, to see how they can contribute and just helping building wells, carrying pails of water, and then showing them, well, look at the happiness in these children who have nothing. Islam is a natural way of life for them, despite their poverty. Then we take them, as we intend to do, we intend to bring someone Hajj, Umrah, here to Saudi Arabia to show them a more affluent Islamic society. And then again, they will be able to see between these two extremes exactly the benefits, the pros and the cons. So when they go back to the UK and engage with their colleagues, they have a stronger sense of identity, and they can see our society is not as bad as we are being led to believe it is. There doesn't have to be this spiritual dichotomy and warring with the society. Yes, again, we've become Muslims. There are aspects of the society that we don't like, that we have to keep away from. Girlfriends, alcohol, things like this. Maybe some of the positions that the government will take, we're clearly going to be against. However, what is your duty as an individual, as an ambassador, to articulate the point to the wider society? And how are you going to do it? If you want them to become attracted to Islam, if you want them to change the misconceptions they have of Islam and have a more positive interaction and impression of Islam.
So that in reality there's no really alienation between your citizenship, whether it's the UK, Saudi Arabia, France, whatever country in the world. There's no difference, there's no alienation between what you are teaching me to be a citizen. So for example, if I converted to Islam and I'm a doctor, I don't have to stop practicing.
Not at all.
I don't have to go to the mosque and just sit there, and I don't have to grow my beard up to here or have certain, quote, end of quote, physical features to look like a Muslim. I can still be who I am, but I'm a Muslim.
Yes, the religion has come to enhance those positive characters and traits. We found that many, when they've come to Islam, as I've said, they've switched off their brain. They will move themselves away from the professions that they had, which was didn't have any conflict, as it were. Some will say, well, we are going to stay in the mosque and give the call of dawah. But in essence, what you find is that not much is happening in that respect.
Absolutely.
And it ends up that they ghettoize the communities that they're in, and they become isolationists. And this is one of the problems that we have in the community, in the Muslim community in the UK now. And many are reversing that role, which is good. They're saying we can't cut ourselves off from society.
Exactly.
We can't become a society, a microcosm within a wider society. We have to engage. We have to interact. We've got to see the doctors amongst the Muslims. We've got to see the professionals. And when we're in the professional environment, it's not then a forum of continuous vocal confrontational dawah. Through our action, that dawah will go. And I've witnessed it, and I stayed in the legal profession when I became a Muslim. They saw some of the changes, that I wouldn't go to a pub with them and drink alcohol and everything like that. I'm still in touch with my boss now, and he's seen a more rounded character. This is from him. You're a much more rounded character in that the spirituality is part of your life now. And I said to him, what Islam has done for me and many converts is that before Islam, We had food, which was our physical nourishment. We had mental nourishment, but there was one fundamental aspect that was missing, and that was the spiritual nourishment. Islam has provided that.
Excellent. As you were speaking also, just something came to mind. You were talking about being professional, being the person that you are, and staying the path as a Muslim. As if it's a battle between inclusion and exclusion from the society. Some just oppose, as if like, if I take off from Islam, I truly have to take off everything and become somebody else. That's back to your point of one country to the other. Whereas our Prophet, may the best of peace and blessings be with him, never taught us that.
No, that's right.
He taught us the opposite.
Yes. And again, when you look at the different Muslims who are coming into the UK and holding on to aspects of their identity, this is okay. We shouldn't go to two extremes, that we then adopt culture that is alien to what we are familiar with. We adopt the religion, not the culture. And on the other extreme, that we discard it completely. I give an example. In my job now, I wear the suit and tie because of the nature of the job as a director in that particular instance. And it conforms with the Islamic etiquette with regards to the length of my trousers, with regards to the bagginess, so it's not tight fitting and everything. But I won't go above what is required from the tradition, the urf, I think you call it, of the people.
Yeah,
now you see me wearing a thobe and everything like this, it accords and conforms to what it needs to. So
this is your leisure time, you're acting in any way you want.
Exactly, and I think that too many of us are trying to make statements in every single aspect of our lives, which is detracting the people from us. They need to see an area, a forum where they can relate to us. After all, we come from that society. We were once non-Muslims and come from that society. And even if it's within the Muslim society, we shouldn't be looking to discard that religious heritage that we've got and following Western societies to such an extent that we want to lose our identity, because our religious identity is intrinsic to us as a being.
Well, Islam tells us not to really become alien or look or draw attention. Actually, Islam tells us to blend, but not blend in.
Yes.
Blend with the society, but not blend in and lose identity.
That's right.
So if I'm going to work, I can wear my tie and the three-piece suit, just like you said, and then on my leisure time, it's okay. But I don't go with a statement, in-your-face type of statement, to alienate Muslims just for the outside. Is that what I...
Yeah, exactly. I think when you are going to your work activities, some, for example, who work with me, they wear the thobe and the attire, but they wear it according to the way of the people. When they're wearing the shirt and the trousers and everything, they wear it according to the way of the people. When you try to make something totally different, as I said, we spoke about the length of the thobe. I believe the thobe should be above the ankles and everything. But then we say, should it be up mid-shin, close to the knees?
Oh, no, yeah.
We know the dictates and everything then, but look, you need to blend in and be approachable.
Yes.
And if we become unapproachable to the people in our way and manners, some might say, is Abdul saying that the women shouldn't wear abayas and niqab? No, I'm not saying that, because in the UK they wear that, and we see they're very approachable.
Are in deep trouble, aren't we?
If we say that, we've been very deep trouble. No, the ladies, my wife, my daughters, they wear the abaya and everything, as we see is worn, but they are approachable to other ladies that interact with them once they get to know them. It's the maturity that underpins all of this that is important, is essential. The zeal, overzealousness that some of us have, we might take that as we are upholding the religion. As I said, we need to refer to our elders, we need to refer to the ulama, we need to refer to the text to understand how the contextualization of the religion took place yesteryear and today.
Yeah, Brother Wissam al-Hazmi has he told me that 5 minutes ago that we are 5 minutes off the air. So we only maybe have 1 or 2 minutes. I want you to really take those 1 or 2 minutes and to face the camera and tell the youth in Saudi Arabia and outside that this intercultural relationship does not mean losing the identity, if I understood you correctly, but you say what you want to the camera.
What I would say to the youth, I think, in Saudi Arabia and wherever you may be, you have a religious identity, which is a strong one, and it's one to be proud of, and the world is looking at you because you are tomorrow's future. You have a cultural identity, which is strong, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in Saudi Arabia, wherever it might be. There does not need to be conflict between these two identities. They are synonymous. Where there are aspects of your cultural identity that clashes with the religious one, then leave it off. But be sure that the two identities can coexist, and they have coexisted throughout the ages since Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, walked the earth.
That's really well put. I wouldn't have been able to put it in that very strong statement. Thank you, Brother Abdul Haqq, for coming in. Medina is always a welcoming city, and I hope that Allah accepts your fast and the fast of the whole Ummah. Dear brothers and sisters, on this note, I would just like to add something that we always try to remind you with. I swear in God's name, Islam is a religion of peace. Islam came to bring peace to the world, not to bring to the turmoil that we see today, propagated in the name of Islam, and Islam is as far as it from the sun to the earth. Dear brothers and sisters, until we meet again, inshallah, for Medina, please be safe, and please look into your religion, and make sure that you have the right religion in your heart, and you will do the right thing. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.